in my 20s, I made this real shift from being a perfectionist, do the right thing, try to succeed for the sake of succeeding, basically living my life based on what other people thought was correct. And I made a real shift between doing that and being someone who would quit a job if it was no longer right for her, who wasn't willing to stick it out, so to speak, and enforce something that wasn't working. And in my 20s, I did that, and it was scary. It felt different for me, but really, really quickly, I learned the benefits. And so basically from my 20s into my early 30s and all the various quitting I did, it really propelled me to get what I wanted sooner, to get what I wanted out of career, out of love, out of life sooner, And so it really began as just this transformation for myself and how I viewed quitting. And then I pretty much became kind of pro quitting, to my friends or people who I would mentor or provide career advice to. I found myself a lot of times counseling people informally, on the decision to quit something. And one thing I found myself saying a lot to those people was, it's a risk if you do, and it's a risk if you don't. And, society and family and culture and school, all of these factors mix together to make us think that to make a change, to do something different than the current status quo is more risky than just staying put and sticking it out. When in truth, we don't know that. Most often in life, we do not know that sticking it out and staying put is less risky. We just don't know that. But we've all been kind of tricked into thinking that. And so I found myself kind of giving that guidance based on my own personal experience. And then after kind of this idea just sticking with me, not knowing what to do with it, but recognizing that it was not leaving my brain, the opportunity to turn it into a book came my way. And so the book is, every chapter is a person's real story of how they overcame expectations and barriers and obstacles, and how they summoned the courage to quit things in their lives.
Right. So how can we access your book?
Oh, thank you for asking. It is available on Amazon, as well as here in the United States, bookshop.org, which is a website that supports small, locally owned, independent bookstores.
Right. So, rounding up soon, I would like us to talk about goal disengagement. So, do you think it is okay to discontinue with one's goal? Now, at what point should a person begin to think of this step?
I love that phrase, goal disengagement. I love that phrase. And so, I think at what point, definitely I spoke to people who gave up on aspirations, that they had for themselves. I myself, in college, I gave up on my goal of wanting to work in the entertainment industry, and so I think it always goes back to trade-offs for me. If the pursuit of that goal, if the journey to get to that goal is violating what you want out of life or violating your values, or it's just not worth the trade-offs, then it might be a good time to revisit what your goal is. And is it going to be worth it? And yes, there may be some people for whom they're willing to sacrifice everything to get to the goal they want. Myself, for example, I have done away with goals I had for myself based on things like where I would have to live, and by virtue of doing that, I have learned that where I live and location is very important to me. Like, that is a trade-off I'm not willing to budge on, whereas other people might be willing to do that. Absolutely. And so I think when you look at what you will need to sacrifice, what you will need to adapt and change about yourself or even ignore about yourself. I think those things can kind of help you determine, okay, is this goal, assuming I meet it, is it going to be worth what I have to sacrifice along the way? And a lot of times you can't know that from day one of pursuing your goal, you just really can't, but you have to just pay attention. And again, do that self-interrogation, self-reflection, to be an active participant in your life and in how you're choosing to meet your goal.
Right. Thank you for your submission, right? And your professional insight on today's topic of discussion. Coonoor Behal. Do you have any projects in the pipeline?
Oh, thank you for asking. Right now, no more books. I'm still, I don't think I have another book in me. This is a very fun project for me to do over the pandemic. But right now I'm really rededicating myself to my company, Mindhatch, and just looking forward to coming out from underneath the pandemic, as I'm sure we all are looking forward to that.
Sure. All right. Wish you best of luck in that. Any parting word you'd like to share with my audience?
Oh, thank you. I would love just to repeat something I referenced earlier. Just this phrase that it's a risk if you do, it's a risk if you don't. And knowledge of yourself is really what will help you make bold decisions, like to quit or not to quit. And if we can reframe quitting as progress, that will, I think, help people live much happier lives. But also, I think we need to reframe that not only is quitting a choice, but so is not quitting. And if you can think of the decision to not quit as a decision and not as something you are waiting to act on, I think that will help us really clarify if our current status quo is actually meeting our values and our trade-offs.
Right. Thank you for that motivating and inspiring line now, Coonoor. Any social media handles on your website we like to connect with?
Oh, thank you. Well, you can engage with the book on Instagram. It's at I Quit Book. There's also a website, iquitbook.com, where you can also get the I Quit Toolkit. And then you can follow Mindhatch on many social media platforms and myself personally, but I would highly recommend following myself and Mindhatch on both LinkedIn and also on Instagram.
Right, we're going to do that. Really being an exciting topic of discussion on today's topic. Right, talking about I quit. Now we need to balance it, and I thank you for balancing this topic of discussion. Really worthwhile having you on the show, Coonoor Behal. I can only wish you the best of luck in all your future endeavors once again.
Thank you so much, and I wish you the best as well. Thank you.
Sure. It's been Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen, and thank you for joining me on the show. Now, if you'd like to catch up with any missed episodes of Life Well Lived, you can catch up on any cross-promotion platforms to bump into or any podcast promotion platforms to bump into online, and do have a great time listening to the show. Perhaps you'd like to be a guest on Life Well Lived, you can mail me at omobolastephen.o@outlook.com. Looking forward to your mail. Till I come your way, stay safe with all my love. Talk to you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. It's an engaging and enlightening talk show on life, relationships, and the business of life. Grab a cup of juice and just chill. Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. Live life. Live fully.